Have you ever felt it? The quiet, suffocating exhaustion of being perpetually available. You are the reliable one, the good friend, the team player. Your phone is a humming, insatiable beast of notifications, each one a small, urgent demand on your time, your energy, your very soul. Your calendar is a patchwork of other people's priorities, a testament to your own endless accommodation. You have built an identity on the foundation of your accessibility, on the warm and virtuous glow that comes from being the person who always says yes, the person who can always be counted on, the stable rock in the chaotic seas of everyone else's lives. And yet in the quiet, honest moments when the performance is over and you are left alone with the silent truth of your own being, you are drowning. You feel a profound and growing sense of being consumed, of your own life being devoured piece by the endless needs and demands of others. A strange, corrosive resentment, an emotion you have been taught is ugly and selfish, simmers just beneath the surface of your smiling, accommodating facade. You feel a deep and nameless grief for the projects you have not started, the passions you have not pursued, the quiet, contemplative life of your own mind that you have not had a single, uninterrupted moment to inhabit. You have made your life a public utility, a resource for everyone else to draw upon, and you are beginning to suspect, with a cold, rising panic, that you are about to run dry. You are haunted by a terrifying and heretical thought, a thought that feels like a betrayal of your very identity. What would happen if I just stopped? This is one of the most profound and terrifying questions a modern person can ask. For we have been taught from our earliest moments that our value lies in our utility, that our goodness is measured by our accessibility. To be unavailable is to be selfish, to be a bad person, to be a failure. But what if this is the greatest and most devastating lie of our time? What if your chronic availability is not a virtue, but a profound and tragic symptom of a soul that has lost its own center, a soul that has forgotten its own sacred sovereignty? This is the radical and life-altering insight that lies at the heart of the psychology of Carl Jung. For Jung, the path to a life of genuine power, of authentic purpose, and of deep, unshakable self-respect begins with a single courageous and world-shattering act, the act of withdrawing your own being from the insatiable maw of the collective. It is the act of strategically and unapologetically becoming unavailable. When you do this, Jung understood, you do not just change your schedule, you change your soul. You change the very fabric of your reality. The primal wound, the birth of the available self. To understand the transformative power of unavailability, we must first diagnose the deep, hidden sickness of our chronic availability. This is not a time management problem. You cannot solve a soul wound with a better calendar app. It is a profound crisis of the self, a wound that goes back to the very origins of your identity. From a Jungian perspective, the compulsively available person is a person who has never been given permission to have their own sovereign self. As a child, they learned a devastating and life-defining lesson. Their survival, their safety, their very claim to love was contingent on their ability to meet the needs and manage the emotions of the adults around them. Perhaps they grew up with a narcissistic parent who required a constant source of admiration, or an anxious parent who needed a small, calm, and predictable child to soothe their own unregulated nervous system. Perhaps they were the eldest child in a chaotic household, forced into the role of the little parent far too soon. In any of these scenarios, the child learns, with the uncanny perception of a creature whose survival depends on it, that their own authentic feelings are a dangerous inconvenience, their own needs are a burden, their own unique and often chaotic self is a problem to be suppressed. In order to survive, the child makes a tragic, unconscious bargain. They agree to amputate the messy, inconvenient and sovereign parts of themselves, and to construct a false self, a persona that is designed for a single purpose, to be useful to others. Their identity becomes a performance of helpfulness, of agreeableness, of a gentle and endlessly accommodating kindness. This was a brilliant survival strategy. It worked, it kept them safe. But the strategy that saves the child becomes the prison that suffocates the adult. Your chronic availability is a trauma response. It is a lifelong compulsive reenactment of this primal wound. Every time you instantly reply to a text that does not require an instant reply, every time you say yes to a request that drains your soul, every time you sacrifice your own sacred time on the altar of another person's convenience, you are not being a good person. You are being that terrified child, desperately trying to earn your own right to exist. You are unconsciously telling the world, "See, I am useful, I am available. Please do not abandon me, please do not reject me." This is not an act of strength. It is an act of profound and desperate fear. It is a form of slavery disguised as a virtue. The tyranny of the collective, the external world as a psychic vampire. This internal pre-existing wound is then ruthlessly exploited by the very nature of our modern world. Our culture is what Jung might call a vast, extroverted collective, a system that relentlessly and systematically devalues the inner life. It is a world that celebrates the visible, the active, the social, the connected. Silence, solitude, and deep, introverted reflection are not just seen as unproductive, they are seen as a form of social deviance, a symptom of something being wrong. The digital world is the high temple of this new religion of perpetual connection. The smartphone is not just a tool, it is a psychic umbilical cord that tethers you at all times to the vast, hungry, and undifferentiated consciousness of the collective. It is a machine designed to atomize your attention, to interrupt your solitude, and to make the very act of being alone with your own thoughts an almost impossible feat. It is, in essence, a weapon of mass distraction, and the target is your own inner world. This is a form of psychic vampirism. The collective, with its endless stream of notifications, of demands, of manufactured outrages, of other people's curated lives, is constantly feeding on your most precious and finite resource, your psychic energy, your libido, in Jung's terminology. And you have been taught to be a willing and enthusiastic victim. You have been taught that to be a good and informed and connected person is to allow this vampirism to happen, to offer up your own soul on the altar of the collective's insatiable hunger for your attention. To choose to become unavailable is to commit a revolutionary and heretical act. It is to cut the umbilical cord. It is to declare that your time, your attention, and your psychic energy are not public property. They are your own sacred and sovereign territory. It is the act of building a wall around your own inner kingdom, not to keep the world out in a hostile way, but to create a safe and sacred space in which your own authentic self can finally begin to grow. This act is not an act of selfishness, as your conditioned mind will scream at you. It is the most sacred and necessary act of self-preservation. It is the first crucial step in reclaiming your own life from the jaws of the collective. The alchemical shift, the great and terrible transformations of unavailability. When you have the immense courage to begin this process, to strategically and consciously withdraw your availability, a series of profound and often terrifying transformations begin to occur. Everything, as the title suggests, changes. It is not a gentle redecorating of your life. It is a demolition of the old structure and the laying of a new foundation. The first thing that will happen is that you will experience a profound identity crisis, a painful and necessary death of the false self. The available you, the reliable you, the persona you have so carefully constructed and maintained for your entire life, will begin to die, and its death will be a painful one. You will be flooded with an almost unbearable guilt, a primordial cellular terror that you are becoming a bad, selfish, and unlovable person. This is the old survival program, the terrified inner child, screaming in protest at the dismantling of its only known defense mechanism. The world will, at first, confirm this fear with a terrifying ferocity. The people in your life who have benefited from your chronic availability, who have built their own lives on the foundation of your endless accommodation, will not celebrate your newfound sovereignty. They will resent it. They will punish you for it. You will be accused of being selfish, of being cold, of having changed. You will be subjected to a barrage of guilt trips, of passive-aggressive manipulations, of emotional blackmail. This is the great and terrible test of the path, the trial by fire. The world and the parts of you that are still loyal to it will do everything in their power to pull you back into your old role. This is the moment where most people fail. They cannot bear the discomfort of the world's disapproval, the terror of potential abandonment, and they retreat back into the familiar, comfortable, and soul-crushing prison of their old self. But if you can hold your ground, if you can bear the temporary wrath of the world, if you can tolerate the profound discomfort of your own guilt without acting on it, something miraculous will begin to happen. The inauthentic, transactional, and parasitic relationships in your life, the ones that were predicated on your utility, will begin to wither and fall away. It will feel like a death, like a great and terrible loss. But it is not a death. It is a pruning, and in the space that is created, a new kind of relationship, one that is based on a genuine respect for your sovereign self, will begin to have the space to emerge. You are not losing people, you are losing your prisoners, and you are losing your own role as their willing jailer. As you create more and more of this sacred empty space in your life, as you turn down the deafening noise of the external world's demands, you will begin to hear something new. It is a quiet, subtle, and at first unfamiliar voice. It is the voice of your own soul. It is the voice of the authentic, buried self that has been silenced for decades beneath the rubble of your own accommodating persona. In the Jungian vision, this is the voice of your own genuine desire. For the first time, you will begin to discover what you actually want, not what you should want, not what others want from you. You will discover your own tastes, your own rhythms, your own passions, your own unique and idiosyncratic calling. In the silence that is created by your unavailability, your own life's purpose, which has been waiting patiently in the wings, will finally begin to step onto the stage. This is what Jung called the process of individuation. It is the journey of becoming an individual, undivided, a whole and unique person, distinct from the collective consciousness. This journey cannot even begin until you have created a sacred, protected space, a psychological vase or vessel in which to undertake it. Your unavailability is the container for your own alchemical transformation. It is the walled garden in which the forgotten seeds of your own authentic self can finally begin to germinate. From this germination, a new kind of power begins to crystallize within you. The chronically available person is a person without power. Their energy is diffuse, scattered, and constantly being given away. They are a psychic sieve, a leaky vessel. The person who becomes unavailable, who learns to contain and to direct their own psychic energy, undergoes a profound transformation. Their energy begins to consolidate. They develop what can be called an inner density, a psychic center of gravity. This is the source of all genuine authority and all true respect. The world does not respect the person who is always available, always agreeable, always saying yes. It may like them, it may use them, but it does not respect them. The world respects the person who has a solid and unshakable center, the person whose yes is a powerful and precious gift precisely because their no is a real and ever-present possibility. When you stop being available, your words begin to have weight. Your decisions begin to have force. Your presence in a room is no longer that of a pleasing ghost, but of a solid and grounded reality. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are acting upon it from a place of your own centered authority. You have not become a tyrant. You have simply become a sovereign in the kingdom of your own life. And the world, on a deep and instinctual level, recognizes and respects a sovereign. This brings us to the most paradoxical and most beautiful of all the transformations. The person who is compulsively nice and available is not, in fact, capable of true kindness or genuine connection. Their kindness is a strategy, a transaction, a desperate and fear-based attempt to manage the world's perception of them. It is tainted with the subtle and often unconscious poison of resentment and expectation. The person who has had the courage to become unavailable, who has faced the wrath of the world, who has found their own inner center, this is the person who becomes capable of a new and radically different kind of giving. It is a giving that is not born of fear, but of fullness. It is the generosity of a person whose own cup is running over. When this person chooses to be available, it is a conscious and deliberate choice, not a compulsive and unconscious reaction. Their giving is a free gift, not a covert contract. And because it is free, it is clean. It has a power and a purity that the kindness of the people-pleaser can never possess. They become capable of a fierce and compassionate love, a love that can say the difficult no when it is necessary, a love that is more concerned with the other person's true growth than with their own need to be liked. They also become, for the first time, capable of true, intimate connection. The chronically available person can never be truly intimate because they are never truly there. They are always performing, always managing, always hiding their authentic self behind the mask of the persona. The person who has become unavailable has, paradoxically, become available for the first time. Available for a real, authentic, and soul-to-soul connection, a connection that can only happen between two sovereign, whole, and unafraid individuals. This is the secret teaching of Carl Jung, that our modern, hyper-connected, and deeply lonely world has so desperately forgotten. Your life is not a resource to be managed. It is a mystery to be inhabited. And the first step to inhabiting it is to claim it as your own. You must have the courage to disappoint, to be misunderstood, to be seen as selfish. You must have the courage to build a fence around the sacred territory of your own soul. You must have the courage to stop being so damn available. For in the silence that follows, in the vast and terrifying space that opens up, when you finally hang up the phone on the world, you will not find the loneliness you fear. You will find the person you have been waiting your entire life to meet, yourself. And that is the moment your real life finally begins.